called. Please hang up and try again.
Hey, I'm Madeline Butini, the host of 1-800-MAD-BUTT. I'm a visual artist from Australia on a conversational journey to call up and talk with the best artists, entrepreneurs, and visionaries of our time. Join myself and my guests as we unravel the stories behind their breathtaking creations and groundbreaking businesses. Make sure to check out our Instagram for extra show notes. You can view it at 1-800-MAD-BUTT. All right, cool. Let's get into it. Hey guys, sorry that it's been a minute. I needed to take a little bit of a break from everything, but I'm super excited though because today I am interviewing Kiel Tillman. He is a Gold Coast based artist and he has a plethora of knowledge that I think we all need to know, and that's exactly why I've called this the Masterclass in Creative Commerce. So he's actually worked with Oakley, Corona, General Pants, Disney and Wu-Tang Clan to name a few. So if that intrigues you, keep on listening because we get into the business side of things and trust, it's just the best. So without further ado, let's introduce Kiel. Hey Kiki, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast, 1-800-MAD-BUTT.
No worries. Thanks for inviting me.
I came across your work when I was on TikTok. I think we came up on each other's For You page, being in the art scene, and I was like so surprised that you hadn't come up on like my Instagram or something like that before that. But I don't really go on the Instagram Explore, so thank God for TikTok, I guess, in that sense.
That was pretty lucky because I really don't have much on TikTok at all. I was like, I'm going to do this, and then I posted some things, and then that's it.
I get like so surprised when like I find a really sick artist in Queensland, because are you based in Brisbane or the Gold Coast?
Gold Coast.
Yeah. So whenever I find somebody in Queensland who's dope that I don't already know, I'm like, whoa, like there's another gem, like hidden amongst the hay. Like it's so good. Yeah, finding you was like awesome because I think Queensland, I think as a whole being such a cultural wasteland because the Queensland government, and the Australian government as a whole doesn't really want to invest a lot of money in the art. It's incredible for an artist like me to be like, fuck yeah, we've got good shit coming out of our state, and out of our country.
Yeah, no, it is good. Yeah, and especially like this little southeast Queensland pocket. There's some amazing creatives here. Like I feel like we punch above our weight a bit in comparison to those other two southern cities that I won't mention.
Yeah. Well, East Coast is the best coast, though, I will say.
Yeah, true.
But I won't start a turf war. So
no.
So I'm just going to start with the first question, which is the question that I ask everybody. Tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Kiel Tillman, and I am a creative here on the Gold Coast. I have been running my own creative studio for about 6 years until recently when I merged my studio with another agency here on the coast. So the last few months has sort of had a few changes for me, which has been super exciting. So now I am a partner and creative director at Pennybridge Creative.
Woo!
Woo!
Woo! That's awesome. Yeah, because I wanted to ask you about that. So we're jumping through the questions a little bit, but we're just going to go because I have a bunch of questions. Then if we reached one earlier, we'll just jump into it. What made you change from Tillman Creative Code to Pennybridge Creative? Like, how did this come about? Tell us the story behind that.
Yeah, so I'd known Paul for a long time now. So Pennybridge is his company that he started almost 10 years ago. He kind of started out had the same way the rest of us did, where we just sort of started freelancing and then got a bit bigger and thought, maybe I should make this an actual, studio with other people working here. So I'd known him for ages, and we always would catch up and talk shop and, basically, talk to each other about how hard it is to run our own creative studio. And so we definitely bonded over the pains, the trials and tribulations of running a design studio. And then, yeah, I think one day I was probably just whinging to him about something. And then he was like, I think I want to invest in your company because I love what you do, love everything that you do. I don't want to see you sort of throw it away. I'm like, dude, I don't even know what that means or how that looks. Like, I don't know how you would be able to invest. I'm like, well, why don't we merge? And he just didn't quite believe me. So then, then we just sort of kept catching up, having a chat, and we were like, we just kept getting closer and closer and closer. And then, I had an employee, Bianca, who worked for me, and she left earlier this year, just for personal reasons. So I was just like, man, I do not want to go back to running this show by myself. I don't want to hire anyone else. So that kind of just sped up the process of, merging with Pennybridge. So, and we kind of, the more that we kept catching up and talking, we both basically saw holes in our business that we would both sort of slot into. So it's, at the end of the day, it all sort of made sense. Like, even when we, started telling people around us, they were just like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, yeah, of course you guys are merging. Yeah. So it just felt right. We just trusted our guts and dove in.
Because I had a look at both website, the Tillman Creative Co. and Pennybridge Creative, and I was, is this not just the same? Like, I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, this is like a puzzle piece fitting in. Like, like I was, it just like made sense. So, I mean, it's lovely. Like, I mean, that would have felt so good. Yeah,
it did feel really good. It felt, for me, it just felt, probably just like a weight's lifted off my shoulders. So as you'd know, like, running your own, like, this is my job, running my own sort of design studio for a living, unfortunately means that you're not constantly just drawing and painting and doing cool stuff. You're doing tax and you're chasing invoices and you're trying to get more work, and then you're trying to be a marketing manager, and it's all these different things, which is a lot. And a lot of the times, like, those things can be like, especially when you're like, struggling with either getting work or getting through work, like, it can, like, it was always, for me, it was always feast or famine. Like, it was like, I've just got piles and piles and piles of work to get through, which can be crippling. And then it just becomes like a punish, like a real hard job. And then the times when we didn't have much work on, that in itself is like all consuming, like, because you're constantly thinking about it. The fact, like, basically the merger has just helped my mental health a lot. Just knowing that, like, that I've got support, knowing that I don't have to do every single thing, and just being part of a team, which is probably my favorite part. I love working with Paul. Like, it's so funny. We're both so similar in so many ways, and then in other ways we are like chalk and cheese. So, our tastes and everything are all all quite similar. We love the same kind of stuff, same kind of music. But then when it comes to the actual work process and everything, it's like we're totally different. And Paul's amazing he's got amazing sort of business mind, and I've obviously got a really good creative mind. So just putting them together has been really good.
I am so jealous. Like, honestly, I did that reel last night. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was like, everything that I do that isn't art. Like, if you're thinking about becoming an artist,
exactly,
this is what you have to deal with. And it's like, I spend a lot of time on the computer doing shit. Like, I literally have a pile of fucking receipts that I just have there that I need to scan, put into like everything.
Yeah. I'm sorry to bring it up.
It's okay. It's the trauma of being a small business, I guess. I mean, I fully understand that hustle mentality as well. I mean, I work part-time, so I don't have to hustle so hard. So it's not on my head, because like you were saying, the feast and famine, like, I saved no money, put no money into my super when I was working as a full-time artist. Mate, I have like $13,000 in my super. Like,
yeah.
I'd get like a big, like $10,000 commission, and I'd be like, let's piss it up. Like,
yeah.
Let's pay rent for 2 months, and then let's just spend the rest at Mecca. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny because, you'd see the money come in, but, maybe like 40% of that is actually yours. The rest has to go to everything else, like subscriptions, rent, tax, BAS, all the things, insurance, and obviously like doing murals and stuff. We've got insurances that we have to have. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, actually, it's so funny you said it because, like, when I was coming back into doing art after taking my break, I did a workshop up at Mackay and I had to get public liability insurance, and it was like $350. And I was like, fuck, like, I have no money. Like, this is not good. I mean, it's all sorted now. I mean, I have a tax debt and shit I'm paying off and whatever, but like, it's all getting sorted
We all
now.
do. We all do.
It's the 20s, right? I've just entered my 30s and I'm like, what other shit's gonna come out, you know? But yeah, all
mate,
those
you're
like
ahead of the game.
little things. Oh, thanks. And like sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but you know, there's definitely days when I'm like, oh, I'm killing it. But I try not to be the smartest person in the room, which is why I host this podcast, because there's so much info, especially from experience, right? Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. So how did you get into the arts industry? Did you study? Were you self-taught? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I left high school. I grew up in a little small beach town in mid-north coast of New South Wales. So there wasn't much, there's like no opportunities around there for anything sort of creative. So I moved to the Gold Coast, in the very beginning of the year 2000, and did a 1-year diploma at a design college up like in Burleigh Heads. I did that. That was really good. Then I got work experience and I ended up getting a job, which like through my work experience, which was for like a big offset printer. So I basically went, straight into the deep end. I definitely learnt that spell check is really important, especially when it comes to printing. So that was sort of my first industry job at a big printer, and it wasn't that glamorous, but I learned a lot.
Was it like printing, or was it like
like screen printing? No, like big offset magazines, business cards, like calendars,
or like a Vista print or whatever.
But like this is like so this was like the year like maybe like 2001. Like there was like print was still a thing. Like there was like it was still like a major thing. Like there was still magazines, so all the magazines, all the surf magazines were still going. So that was like, it was big business. Like if you like owned a printer or if you wanted to get offset printing done, like it was pretty expensive. Whereas now, we've got like Vista print, like digital print, like it's like the digital sort of stuff was only just sort of starting out. It wasn't that great. So it was super interesting. Like I learned so much just in like, I don't even think I was there a full year until one of the guys I studied with said that there was a job going at Billabong and I should go for it. So I did, and got a job there. So I was a junior garment designer. Basically went from print into, I suppose, the surf industry and designing clothes. And I was there for 8 years, which was, it was a pretty fair chunk of my life. I also learnt a lot there. Ended up being like a senior men's designer. So I was designing the jeans and the walk shorts.
You're basically like the Subi guys. You're like,
pretty much.
When it was a kid,
Maybe exactly. Maybe that's what I wanted to be, but no, I was just cruising, really, to be honest. Like I didn't really, like, you mentioned before, like you've just ticked over into your 30s. I don't think it was probably when I hit 30 that I was like, right, maybe I should do something with like properly with the talent that I've got.
Branch out.
Yeah. So, I think I was about 27 or 28 when I left Billabong. But like Billabong was awesome. I met so many friends. Used to travel to the States all the time. Like it was an amazing time. But, after I think it was like after the GFC hit, they just went downhill like real quick. But I just saw the writing on the wall. So I was like, I need to change. I can't keep doing this. And the other thing is like, you're basically designing like 3 ranges a year. Like it was just so, I don't know. It wasn't very creative, put it that way. You kind of were dictated, especially when, times got tough and all they wanted to do was sell. Like you really had to
feeling that crunch. I can understand it. Like they'd be like, we need this now, like what is this? And then you're trying to work, but you got all this pressure and like you can't get into the headspace to make something because you got people breathing down your neck. It was just no fun anymore. Not saying they did that there, but that's how I would have felt.
No. One of the guys I worked with at that big printer was starting his own thing, and basically like a digital printer. So he was like, "Do you want to come work for me?" I'm like, "Sweet." So I left like the big, like comfortable, major Billabong corporate sort of job to go work with my mate in a shed with all these printers. It was just me, him, and one other guy. And like I was answering phones, I was running these big offset, like a big wide format digital printers. I was doing quotes, I was doing design, like I was just doing everything. So I think it was like the first week that I was there, he just bought this new machine, which was a laser etching and laser cutting machine. Yeah, and he was basically like, "Well, I don't want to do the normal boring shit with this. Like, I want you go for it. Just go free reign, try and just create some awesome, fun stuff." That was kind of like the point that, like, I started drawing and stuff again, because we got a bunch of blank skateboard decks, so we were laser etching on the skateboards. So I was actually drawing again, I was actually creating again, and then because I had free reign, I was just trialing stuff and just coming up with shit and doing artworks. And like, actually there's like some artworks behind me. Throughout that process, like I was starting to like create some of my own artworks, which then the processes and the techniques that I use for that would then go into like the products and stuff that we were creating there. Yeah. And yeah, that place is called Potato Press. They're still going there, killing it. Like they have a US office now, and they work with like NASA and Amazon and crazy people. So they were originally like, it was like digital printing and stuff, but then with the laser machines that we got into like these unique like custom built trophies and awards and stuff like that. So that's kind of like, they ended up in this weird little niche, but they're just killing it. So yeah, it was awesome to be part of that company, to kind of, help build it from the ground up. And, one of the last things I did was go to the US for them to try and scope out like a site, like the best sort of location to have their US office. And it was an amazing place to work. And there's part of it that I miss, like just the solving the problem. So like, for example, when I was at Billabong, I was just like one cog in a humongous machine. But then when I was working at Potato Press, I was like, you see it from like the idea and the inception of the idea through every single stage until you have like a physical product sitting in front of you. So I suppose the satisfaction was like, you come up with an idea, you create something, and then it's like literally sitting in front of you. So the satisfaction of that creative process was awesome. And it was like problem solving. I no longer had like 3 major deadlines a year. It was like I had like 3 major deadlines a day sort of thing. So it was super fast paced. It was, it just got everything flowing. Yeah. And then kind of because Rod gave me the freedom on these machines and the freedom to create, then I started to get noticed, I suppose. And then people were asking me to do freelance stuff pretty much. Yeah, that's when I just started cutting back days there, and then just started working on my own stuff. Yeah, it just kind of got to the point where it was basically either shit or get off the pot. It was like, what are you going to do? What do I have to do? Am I going to go do this full time, or I'm going to cut it back so I can focus back on Potato Press? So yeah, it was go do my own thing.
Nice. I love this. Then the Tillman Creative Co was born. So what was it like getting your first client on your own?
It was good. It was really good. Like I was still kind of part-time then. So but the more and more clients that I got, like the I don't know, it's a different feeling when you're doing your own thing. And like there's obviously a sense of pride that you're actually like, oh shit, I'm actually doing this thing and it's working. Yeah, but it's a lot of work. Like it's really fucking hard. And it was like the worst time to go out on my own. Like I didn't have any savings or anything backed up. We just had our second child, and it was like, fuck, all right, yeah, sure, let's do this. It was kind of forced. So, and then, which is kind of a good thing, because then you have to make money and you have to make everything work.
Man, that pressure, I don't know if I'd be able to deal with it. Second grommy, and you're just like, shit.
Yeah, it was a lot. How was she?
Yeah, but was she supportive?
Yeah, she's always super supportive. Yeah, with everything, and like to the point where I was just like, nope, everything's fine. I've got this. I've got this. I've got this. But like I didn't have it. Like I was fucking up on all my tax, and we ended up owing a shitload of money. That was the point where she took over the accounts because I just like fucked everything up. And yeah, it was really tough for a while there. Like the first couple of years were rough as, but then you sort of just, I don't know, we just kind of hit my stride a little bit and started just doing bigger and better jobs. And I think it all came down to like just when I didn't have to focus on all that stuff as much, I could kind of just sit in my sort of zone of genius and create. And then that just sort of kept like a snowball sort of effect and just kind of built and built. Yeah. It was awesome.
No, I've been thinking a lot about partners because, as you know, I'm in a fresh relationship and I haven't been in one for a really long time. And my partner is super supportive. Like he buys me canvases and helps me buy stuff. I'm slowly paying him back. And yeah, it's so good just to have someone like believe in you and just be like, he was literally like, if you need me to help you with your tax, like, because I have a tax agent, but like,
that's
and
awesome.
tax agents don't do jack shit. But like, you know, it's like,
they don't.
Like for $250 a year, they just like call you once a year and they're like, all right, you got it all. Like, you're just like, But you know what I mean? And like partners, I think, you know, there's a saying that it's like behind every king, there's the queen or whatever. But I think behind like every artist, you got to have someone like backing you up, talking to you constantly. Because you got your inner critic going off, but all this other external stress, you know, and having that extra person is just a wraparound support is just really nice.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't have been able to do it without her. I don't think I would have. Yeah, crumbled at some point for sure.
I mean, yeah,
because you know, obviously, like
years, so I get it.
You always put on a brave face for the socials and everything, and or even just other people that you know in the industry. It's like, how's it going? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, things are good. All that sort of stuff. But like your partner is the one that you can tell shit is fucked. Like shit's bad. I am stressed. I need help. So there's not many people that you can sort of do that with. So I think without her, I think I would have got a job a long time ago.
Yeah. No, I love my partner. He's so good. He's like, you know, one day when we're living together, you'll just do art full time and we'll have kids and you'll just do it full time. And I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to make like week to week right now with my art to pay all my expenses for my art. Like, I love you, but like, let's zone it in.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. Yeah. But hey, you got to have that. You got to have people that believe in you.
Yeah, no, totally. Love him. I'm a bit of a pessimist though. So, you know.
See, I'm the opposite. That's probably what kept getting me into trouble. I'm the forever optimist. So I'm like someone asked me, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, easy. No worries. Have you ever done it?
No, you know, do you know exactly what that is? That's called thinking like a man. So there was this thing that I listened to when I was like 24 or some shit. No, probably when I was like 21. Women tend to say no to things, whereas men will say yes because they're risk takers and like, you know, that whole thing about being invincible and whatever, like the psychology behind it. Whereas women are very much like, oh, I don't know if I can do it because of just society and whatever. And so I was like, oh, I'm just going to start thinking like a man and saying yes to everything. And I remember like when I was like 25 or something, I took on this like 3 meter by like 1.8 meter mural. I still have the rolls of paper that I got printed at Platypus Printing of these things. And I just got there and I was like, fuck. I was like, no, like I've been thinking like a man, like this is fucked. I had to call my dad.
Men are idiots. Why am I thinking like that?
And it was just all downhill from there. I was just like, I'm not saying yes to any murals anymore.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give little Kiki though? Like, what would you say to little Keeks? Would you be like, you know, any feedback?
Love that you call me Kiki.
Sorry, I always give people nicknames. I'm so sorry.
That's all right, because I'm like, who's Kiki? Oh yeah, it's me. Little me. Probably just start earlier. Like, yeah, I think I mentioned before, like it wasn't till I was about 30 that I was like, oh right, shit. Yeah, I'm gonna do something. I don't know, but also at the same time, it was kind of that, like around that age was kind of the beginning of, you know, Instagram. And because, like I'm 41 now. So, it was about that time where like you could actually get some traction on socials and people actually saw your work, and then using social media as a way of finding people to do work as well. Yeah, it was around that time. But yeah, if anything, I probably would have just told myself just to pull your finger out and stop coasting. I think that's probably the only sort of regret that I have is like, I was literally late 20s where I'm like, honestly, there was a day I just like looked around when I was at Billabong and was just like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, this was not the plan. This was not what I had. This was not my dream as a 16-year-old sort of thing.
What was the 16-year-old dream?
Well, it was to work at Billabong, but no, it wasn't. When we're driving up here, like I was driving with my dad up here when we were moving here. So I was still 17 when I moved here, and yeah, I forgot about this, but he told me like a few years later, he's like, yeah, do you remember when we were driving up here? And he said, I asked you, what do you want to do after you study? And I said, oh, it'd be cool to work at Billabong or something. So yeah, and then obviously it did come true. But I think my dream as a 16-year-old was just to have fun and create. And I think that's when, in my later years at Billabong there, it's like I wasn't really creating shit. I wasn't doing anything really creative. There was maybe a couple of styles per season that I could do something fun on, but not really. Not with, the ideas I had in my head. So yeah, so that was it. Just pull my finger out.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry, I love getting into like people's little people and just being like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one thing that really impressed me, right, is that you and maybe this is because you always thought like a man, because you are a man, and but you literally do like everything. So you do brand identity, website design, illustration, murals, merch, animation, artist curation. So what is your favorite thing to do? And is there one thing you wish you could do more of?
That's a good question. I feel like at the moment I've got a pretty good mix of all the things. I feel like if I was doing one thing constantly, I'd get sick of it. So I think my top three is probably like the murals, brand design, and illustration are probably my top three. Well, I don't know if they're my favorite things, but they're the things I know I can do fairly well. So it's probably my comfort zone. I do want to get more into animation. Like I've dabbled in it in the past, but I've kind of I do as like super sort of basic way of animating, and it's just purely because it's just using the tools that I know how to use. So it's kind of like I always get these ideas in my head of what I want it to look like, and then I kind of work back and go, well, how can I do that with the skills that I've got right now? And that's, and then I've been able to sort of make my way through and make it happen. And then I show people like, these are my files that I use to animate. And it's literally an Illustrator like artboard with about 100 small artboards on there, just frame by frame, stop motion sort of style. And they're just like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, well, that probably took me as long, or that I probably had to do that quicker than if I went and learned like After Effects and stuff. But I did just buy like a logo animation course. So I'm going to start that in the next week or so. So I get to sort of play around in After Effects, which is good. And I think that's the thing, like I've kind of like the skills that I've got just with Illustrator and like using my Wacom, like I know all those back to front. So I think now is the thing that I want to do more of is probably like upskilling into different programs using I've got all sort of those design principles and stuff in my head and all of the ideas and stuff in my head. I think now it's like upskilling to be able to then get them out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like animation and possibly even like stuff like 3D and
yeah. Wow. What can't he do? Fuck, I need to think more like a man. Actually, I got to think more like Kiki. Gotta work backwards.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Like I think and that's kind of, my wife always tells me this too. I'm like an amazing manifester before I even knew what the word manifesting meant. And I think it's kind of like daydreaming about what I'd like to do. And then if I just keep daydreaming about it, soon it becomes reality, because you end up just making little steps into getting there. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It's literally manifesting, but it's
I
like
love manifesting.
I don't write in a book or anything like that. It's like
Bro,
what
you
I
can take
want
that
to
shit
put
like
out in the
tenfold if
universe.
you write it down. If you write it down, get
Yeah,
a few candles, a few bay leaves, we're
some
touching on
crystals.
some wicked shit here, but like,
Yeah,
mate, you can make anything happen. Trust me.
yeah. There you go. Maybe
But,
I need to think more like a witch.
yes, become a wizard. You're a wizard, hurry. No, literally. I want to talk about your murals for a minute. So,
Hmm.
how do you start this process? What stresses you out the most, and who has influenced you the most within this space?
The process is, I mean, a lot of the murals that I do are kind of commercial based, so they're usually for a business or a brand. Like the client often has a clear brief. First thing is definitely getting the brief from the client. Every little step is kind of like a problem to solve. The first problem is figuring out what they want, and then creating it. So I do everything digitally first. So I draw it on my Wacom into Illustrator, basically then just get approval from the client. And then the next problem is getting to site and figuring out what kind of fucked up shit's on the wall, what's going to go wrong, or just there's always something with murals. There's just so many things. Like even if we're painting in winter and it's like a concrete wall or something and it's cold, the paint will take forever to dry. So then that just adds time. So there's just always stuff. Or you just get onto site and then there's like a fucking big ditch or something right in front of the wall that they forgot to tell you about, or there's a big one of those big Energex transformer things sitting right in front of the wall. So there's all of those little things. Like I've become pretty good at getting all that information beforehand now, but like when I first started, I'm like, sweet, I just rock up, and then it's like, oh yeah, you forgot to tell me that the wall was brick. So then you've got all these little brick lines that you've got to paint around, and that's the next step, getting on site. And then I use a projector to get all my outlines and everything up, and then from there it's basically I just go into process mode. So it's kind of like, to a certain degree, it's meditative, because you kind of what you got to do, and you're just sort of relying on your skills to make it, to get it done. And so I actually really love that process. As long as that's probably the one thing I do hate, is when there's a really strict deadline on it. So you just got to get it done by a certain time. And I'll end up working till, 2 or 3 in the morning, doing 16-hour days just to get it all done. And then, you'd kind of wrecked. So you do I've done 3 15-hour days in a row. And then you're wiped for 2 weeks after that. That's the thing I don't like, is when there's a really strict deadline. But a lot of the times I kind of put that deadline on myself as well. So maybe I'm the problem. It's me. And my favorite part is when it's finished and you get to just see it done. I think that's my favorite part. You pull down all the masking and stuff, and then you see it and it's sweet. And then you just walk away and never look at it again, because then you'll pick up all the things that you'd like to change. But yeah. So that's the process.
What stresses you out the most?
Yeah, I think it's the deadline. I know that I'm quite a fast painter. I don't use aerosols or anything, so I'm not that fast. I just use brush. But as far as it goes, I'm quite fast at doing the murals. But yeah, it's when there's a strict deadline, it's it can just be so stressful, because I've got so much to do in such a small amount of time. And
Can you give an example of a time?
There's some murals that I'll just 4 days for a big mural. So I don't know if you saw the one down at the Pink Hotel, and that was about 4 days. So they were big days. You're out in the sun, and I'm hopeless. I'll just have a couple of music bars in my pocket, and then just work, and then have dinner at 11 o'clock, and then maybe do some more. So yeah, those ones are pretty. So that, for example, that one, that was for a tequila brand, and it had to be done by the Friday, because that was when the tequila brand's having the launch. at the Pink Hotel. Yeah, so that's when it gets pretty bit stressful, especially when it's outside like that too, because like it could have rained for 2 days and then
Yeah.
yeah.
This is what pisses me off about brands, honestly. Like, I don't know how much prep they gave you for this and like the approval times and things like that. But generally when I'm working with like brands and things like pretty big brands, like they know that this shit has been going to be happening for like at least 6 to 9 months. And you'll get it. And a lot of the stuff I do is digital, but like you'll get it and it'll be like, oh, we need this in like 2-3 days. And it's like,
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Like, you haven't even signed a contract with me yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you haven't paid a deposit.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? You need this in 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to happen. Like, I'm going to be realistic with you. Like, I've literally just had to start putting that boundary in and being like, no, it's going to take a week.
Yeah.
I'm not stressing myself out for you. Like,
no, I hear you there for sure. Like, and there's times like you've got to like, I've definitely like pushed back on some time frames before for sure. But when it comes to like, sometimes I just really want to do the job as well. Like the Pink Hotel one's a perfect example. Like, it's such a great spot. And they were like, I think they contacted me like it was like a week before I had to start painting. So it was only about two and a bit weeks before the event. And I was
it could have rained. It could have rained so hard in the Gold Coast that it floods.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's still got to do the design, get it approved by the brand, which I think the head office isn't even in Australia, it's somewhere else. So yeah, that one was definitely cutting it close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes the process of actually painting. Well, yeah, I know. I love it. And people are like, that's my favorite one you've ever done. And it's like, that's sick. I didn't really get to enjoy the process of doing it as much. I still enjoyed it. It was still like, it's fuck. Here's the other thing, right? I've got to pinch myself. It's like, you get paid to paint pretty pictures on walls. So it's not all bad. I could be doing a lot worse.
Yeah. Maybe I'm being a little bit jaded because I'm just sick of shitty deadline. But I'm also just of the ethos of being like, man, if you're going to cut into my fucking weekend, like, you better be paying me $5,000. Like, you're cutting into my personal time with my family because my sister has a niece. Well, I have a niece now, and like, I don't get to spend much time with my family, and I'm Italian, so love my fam.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if you're going to give me a deadline that's over a weekend, like, it better be worth my money, like the time and money that I'm losing out on other things, But that sounds like an incredible experience, and it sounds like there was a really good outcome as well. So perfect.
It was great. And deep down, I actually love a deadline. I feel like I do my best work when it's under pressure. I feel like if I've got a lot of time to do something, I just won't do it till the last day anyway. So a deadline, like a short deadline's kind of, if I think about it, like I reckon I've done some of my best murals and like work at the last minute, which is dumb. And it's honestly, I've heard of this thing, basically like your anxiety is like your best tool and like your best motivator. It's almost like your brain is working better when it's under extreme pressure and stress, which is crazy.
The brain is a weird thing.
It is a weird thing. It's almost so, even like whether it's part like subconsciously, leaving things to the last minute is a way to get that crazy lizard brain just switched in and working like really like fast and solid because you're totally under stress. So I don't know. It's weird. Life's weird.
No,
I can't really. I love looking back and seeing what like my brain can do under that sort of pressure and seeing the achievement for what it was and how you got it done. That's awesome. But then it definitely takes its toll. I don't like it's definitely not something that you can't run like that forever. Otherwise, you're just going to fry.
Yeah. So what is your self-care? Talking about burning out, what is your self-care? Do you have anything?
I haven't really. Like it would just be like, I don't know, hanging with the kids, taking the dog to the beach, the kids to the beach. Now, but in the last couple of weeks, it has been painting, which has been really good. So actually painting like canvases again. Yeah, which has been, I've really enjoyed the process because it's it's totally different to all the other creative work that I do. So even totally different to my murals. So it's basically just been, I'll have like an idea, which is usually like a song or a lyric or something like that. Like I might do a couple of sketches, or I might just literally just start laying paint onto a canvas and just see what happens. And it's super rough. Like there's no clean lines. Everything's wrong. The proportions are all out of place. But it's just been really fun because I think like even in my illustrations and stuff, like I've made sure everything is so exact and perfect. And like same goes when I do brand design as well. So, and the murals, like even my murals they're all like really clean edge. Like I hate seeing any sort of brush strokes. It's almost like a vector illustration, but painted onto a wall. Or it's not like that. It's exactly that. It's literally what I do. But yeah, like just being able to just like not have a plan and just create, basically just, yeah, whatever's coming out of my brain, straight down my arm, into my hand, into the paintbrush, into the paint. Yeah, onto the canvas. It's good. That's been really good. And I've been doing it with the kids. Like the last 2 weeks we've been doing it. So we just set up in the backyard and they just like basically they just splat paint around and yeah. They get bored and they just wander off.
No, some of my favorite memories was painting with my dad as a kid. I have a picture in here somewhere that my dad gave me because he's moving house and he found it. And it's me as a kid with a painting that I did.
Yeah.
And I remember painting with him when I was like 3. Dude, you're going to make some really beautiful memories with your kids and they'll appreciate it.
Yeah. Like it's also a process too, like because I can get into the zone with that shit too, where I'm just like I block everything else out. So I was kind of doing that the other day, and then Levi, my son, came out. He was 6, and he was like, "Oh, I want to do it too." Just like kids do, they go see something shiny and say, "I want to do that as well."
I want to play.
I'm like, dude, I'm like in the zone, and then he was like a bit upset. I'm like, "Nah, yes, you're doing it, buddy. Yeah, let's go." He was so stoked, and I was just like pulling out bits of cardboard and pieces of ply that I found in the shed and just dusting them off. And it's like, there you go, paint on that. And he was just stoked. So
I love this.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff.
Sorry, I'm just melting in this moment of just like reminiscing on my own childhood. Back to business. Who's been your favorite client so far? I was going to make it who's been the worst client so far. And then I was like, no, I won't do that too. Who's been the best?
Oh, man.
Or your favorite? We could do top 3.
I'm not too sure. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you. I forget them all. I can tell you one of my favorite projects, which is kind of the same thing, isn't it? It was for, and it's not that the client was good. It was more or less the project was good. It was for a bar in Surfers Paradise. That's like, what's it called? It's like one of the Irish bars. But anyway, they had like this laneway sort of thing next to the Irish bar that they called Cheekies. And they're basically like, well, this is the wall that we want to paint. It was like fucking 14 meters high by about 6 or 7, or maybe 8 meters actually. 30 meters of like sort of like 30 by like 2 or 3 meters high. And they're like, we want it to look like a, sort of an alleyway, graffiti. So I was like, well, that's sick, but we've only got like a week to do it. And if I do it all, it's all going to look the same. So I was like, well, I'm just going to get some friends together. Yeah, so I did. So I got Court, which is CRT, and Dion Parker, and James Smalls. So he goes by I Write Smalls. Yeah, and then we had Bianca, who was working with me at the time as well. So like I got B to design up all these posters that we pasted up, and I kind of, I got the styles of like Dion and Court and James, and was like, what if you did something like this here? So I kind of like curated the space as well. But then like just the week of painting, like with your friends, like next to a bar. So we'd go inside and like it was like $4 steaks for lunch. So like we'd go inside, have lunch together, go back outside, just paint, have fun. And nothing, like there was only a few pieces that were kind of really planned and structured. The rest was just like, go for it. So yeah, that was really fun. Like that was about 2.5 years ago. So I would love to have another project like that, just where I could get friends together, and we're still doing a job and getting paid.
I love that inclusivity. Dude, you are the sickest. Like, honestly, like, I recently did this interview, right? And I was saying how, because I don't know, post-COVID world, it's a real struggle to like get a client, get a gallery, get all this other stuff, right? Unless you're like ultra fucking established. And I just feel like there's like a lot of division within the art community where it's like a lot of people giving like a bit of, this is where my pessimism comes in, where there's like a lot of fake attitudes and a lot of fake happiness for people. I basically just said in this interview, like, dude, there's space for everybody.
Yeah.
Let's just try to include everyone. If the job isn't right for you, give it to someone else, you know, it'll come back to you tenfold. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I personally haven't experienced much negativity in my art career, but I've certainly heard people talk about other people and kind of been like, shut the fuck up, being inclusive at all. So hearing this from you has been like, yes, there are still good people out there. Like,
oh man, there's so much, like there's definitely enough room for everybody.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come, here's the other thing, like you're going to have your own unique style too. Like it's certain people's work is going to be more suited to like certain things. So like if I've done it plenty of times, I've given jobs to other people because I'm like, well, you know, that photorealistic mural that you want me to do is not what I do. Like talk to this person or talk to this person. Like I constantly do that. Because there's no point me taking on the job when I'm not going to execute it like as good as someone else is going to execute it. You know, I'd be doing the client a disservice as well. And you're right, like it comes back tenfold. But you know, like those personality sort of tests that you can get,
like
I
the
think, like one of my,
or whatever, like those
yeah. I know. Well, I'm not sure which one it was, but yeah, like I was a connector. So like I always have I'll be connected people like via Instagram messages and stuff. Oh yeah, talk to this person, talk to that person, or just giving them advice. And like I'm always doing that sort of stuff. And it just, I don't know. You do hear other people say like, oh, that's so amazing. But it honestly just comes naturally to me. So it doesn't feel that amazing. Yeah, it just feels like that's what we're supposed to be doing. Connection's a massive, massive thing. I know. I'm cutting you off. I'm going to talk more
I'm
about
like trying to think of something to say that won't be taken the wrong way. So I'm just not going to say
okay.
it.
Here we go. Nah, say it.
No, I just feel like, you know, Australia is so isolated from the rest of the world. And, you know, whereas like when you live in somewhere like the States, you know, you're very close to Europe. So you can easily send artworks over there and be connected in that community, travel there, whatever. Not to mention like that art culture is like a lot stronger and thicker and more widespread. But I just think
plus population, there's more eyes.
Yeah, more eyes and ears and whatever.
More clients. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, I don't know how to put it into words right now, but I just feel like in Australia there's a very small knit community here. And I've heard from like a lot of like emerging artists that they find it really difficult to break in because it is such a close knit community when you are kind of out of that emerging stage. Like recently I showed in an exhibition and someone was like, oh, it's so good to see another artist here that I haven't seen before. And that kind of surprised me because I was like, what do you mean? There's like so many artists like in Brisbane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was nothing against the curator or anything, but I think it's just that, you know, I'm not sure if it's because emerging artists feel hindered and they feel like they won't be accepted or something. I'm not sure. I don't know what it is. But I think the message that I'm trying to hone is that like, just bring people into the community. Like the more there are, the better. Like, you know, the more that people get to know different artists, the more other companies are going to be like, oh, that creative was sick. Like, let's get an artist similar to that or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, I think it does. It's it is tricky. And like even like personally, like I've never really considered myself in the art scene. I've always kind of considered myself more of a designer and illustrator, which is obviously more in that commercial sort of realm. Like I used to do exhibitions and I've put it out to the social medias that I'm going to do an exhibition next year. So, but I feel like that's never really been the path that I wanted to take, is going to the art world, because even just like I don't know, it's just never really been appealing. Like it's like you said, it's a lot trickier than sort of the design world, I suppose. I feel
Dude,
like the design
totally.
world's a lot more accepting and everyone's kind of on the same side because they're like, yeah, fuck the client. Basically, we've got we've got one sort of entity to focus our anger towards. So then we're all in it together. But as for the art world, it's almost like you're versing other artists.
Yeah, I see, because I did a bit of commercial and a bit of like the exhibitions and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I did commercial because it was like a way to put money into my bank, you know, like
Yeah,
people that
exactly.
are stuff going. I don't know. I just don't like the, like, you know, because I kind of got into the art scene through New York and stuff, and I've seen how like brutal it can be. And I was very sheltered because I was dating somebody who was very big in the art scene over there. So like I had a very sheltered experience, and just reflecting on it, just being like, guys, it doesn't have to be this like cutthroat fucking thing. Like, let's just all lift each other up. You know, we don't have to do this pay for play shit for galleries. Like, we don't have to compete with each other for a spot. Like, you know, it's not about whose work's better. It's just about letting each other express ourselves. I don't know. Maybe I'm too woo-woo.
No, I don't think you're too woo-woo. I think it's just like human nature, really. Like, because, and also like art is such
Like
like an
subjective
emotional expression, and it's subjective, and it's like
thing.
and like each artist sort of, unless they're just hacks, like they put everything into it. So it's like, which is so, like, it's so personal to them as well. So the fact that you have to go out there and kind of like battle people to like, it's essentially like battling people to like you and what you've created.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah.
Whatever. I just try to be nice to everyone because that's the best way to be, really. Unless they're a total
That's
fuckhead,
the
and
best
then
way
I
to be.
don't talk to them.
Love it. That's a good philosophy.
Yeah. All right. So, if you had any advice for clients, what would it be?
Mm-hmm. Leave enough time to do the job. Give us enough lead time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just have a bit of a brief. Kind of have an idea of what you're after. Yeah.
Bro, there's nothing more that fucking turns me on than a client that has a brief and a fucking budget straight up, and is like willing to negotiate. And I'm just like, whoo, damn, baby. Like, this is not their first rodeo.
No, exactly. I think that's the thing, is the ones that know that what they're doing realize they have to pay for it and realize that they need to give us direction, because, you know, the worst briefs are like, I just do, you know, you're the creative, you do what you do. And it's like, no, because if I do what I do, you'll go, oh, that's not really what I was thinking. What were you thinking? What, like, we asked you what you were thinking, and you said we don't have a clue. So, you know, the ones that are like, oh, I'll know what I like when I see it, they're the worst. They can go fuck right off. Yeah. Just have a brief, realize that it's not like, what we do is it's not a hobby either. It's not like I'm doing this in my spare time because I love doing it. It's like, well, I'm doing it because it's a career. It's not just something that I'm playing around with. You know, like people see art as like, oh, that must be fun, so that must be free, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Brief, budget, time, and you know what else? And just be nice. Good communication is always good.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. That's like everything.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Up. You're like a well-oiled machine, mate. You know, been in the industry for a while.
Yeah, it's not my first rodeo.
What are 3 business tips you'd give to other artists?
Put money away for tax is the number one.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you just have to. And then probably that's number 2 and number 3 as well. And then maybe number 4 is share the work that you want to do. So like, share the type of work that you want to do. So don't share work that you just think people want to see, because whatever you share is basically what you're going to get contacted to do. So if you, like, especially when it comes to design and stuff like that, if you're just like sharing like layout design, corporate brochures and stuff, then that's the type of work that you're going to get. And like personally, I fucking hate that type of design work. So yeah. And then the last one is bite off more than you can chew. Think like a man. Just yeah, dabble in saying yes more often.
Yes.
To just
Yeah.
not to your own detriment, but try and
No.
do something that scares you a bit.
No. So that's such good advice, right? Because I've been thinking a lot lately. Because I was going to do this podcast called Mourning My 20s, like this episode. And then I was like, oh, fuck it, I don't want to dwell. But I was thinking, like, what would be like the advice that I would give people? And it would be that, just to say yes more. Because when I was in New York, when I was getting mentored, I was told, no, that's not good enough for you. No, that's not good enough for you. No, that's not. And then I'm looking back and I'm going like, oh, I kind of wish I did that. Like, and I think that's so important, just to be like, just try it anyways. If you don't like it.
Even if it's saying yes to yourself more often too, like, I want to do this. And then you go, oh, but I don't know how, or, oh, but I can't, or that's, like there's always an excuse. It's like paralysis by analysis. It's like, just start and just say yes to the ideas that you have.
Yeah.
Like your internal monologue.
What's your tricks and tips for IG and TikTok? I love your feed. It is so vibrant. You have like the best cover art on Instagram.
Ah, sweet. Well, that's good to know, because honestly, I've got no fucking idea what I'm doing. I've been somewhat thrusted into the social media marketing manager at Pennybridge now. So, but also I've got a team that can help and sort of, schedule and create the videos, all that sort of stuff. So that's probably not my tip, is not to get a social media team. But honestly, the tip is probably just share it all. That's, even just like that, saying yes to yourself more often, is like, if you just have ideas, just get them out of your brain into some sort of image, and then just put it out and just see what happens. If it doesn't work and you don't like it on your feed, you can always delete it. Like, it's not the end of the world. I feel like everyone forgets shit like within a day of seeing it on Instagram. Like, it's gone. Like, it's not the end of the world if you put something up and it's not to a super high standard, or because you never know what's going to happen. Like, people might see it and just go, oh my God, I fucking love this that you're doing, this style that you're doing, or fuels you to do the next and to do more and to.
If you would have told me 6 years ago when we were just sharing images that I would have had to have made videos and basically become like a videographer and like learn how to use all these fucking apps, like I would have been like, lol, no way. Like, it is a lot of work to do social media these days, because it's all just videos. And one of the best pieces of advice I got from Bonnie Hillsop, and she was like, just take videos of everything. She's like, if you're just doing something, like, just take a video of it, because you could use it. No,
that's true too. And like, it's only been recently that, because I used to be on Instagram a bit and do like stories quite a bit, where I was talking to the camera and do like Q&As and stuff like that. But it all just got a bit too much. I just didn't feel it anymore. So it's only been recently, like, I've done a thing with Wacom where we did a video which sort of showcases me using the device and then basically drawing the mural. So pretty much the process that we talked about earlier. And then it's got a video of me painting. So, and then we're doing like these 3 tips and tricks. So like, that's kind of like the first time I've been sort of talking to the camera and having my face on there for a while. I mean, it's not as daunting as you might think. You might say, like, I'm not the best speaker. Like, I say a lot.
So do I, don't worry. And I don't pronounce things correctly, so I get it.
Me neither. Like, I'm better with my pictures than my words. So you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be like a TED Talk speaker or anything like that. Yeah, just try it. If you don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But give it a crack.
Yeah, why not? Give it a little crack.
Yeah.
Okay, Keeks, is there anything that you'd like to promote? You mentioned an exhibition earlier.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think I do want to do an exhibition next year. I've had an idea in my head for an exhibition for about 10 years. So I think it's about time, like, you know, post-merger, I feel like I've got just a lot more brain capacity for creating art and actually putting some energy into that again, which is awesome and super exciting. So yeah, there's no plans, there's no date, but it might happen next year. I don't know where. I think the next sort of thing that we're excited about is we're rebranding Penny Bridge. Just a visual rebrand. We're not going to change names or anything, but that's super exciting. We've pretty much got it to a point that we're all happy with, but we're not going to release that until like February next year, because it's actually the 10-year anniversary of Penny Bridge. So we're gonna plan like a big event. Yeah, we're gonna have like an old school bash where, you know, we have art happening, we have bands happening, we have beers, we might even get like a tattoo artist there or something. I don't know. We haven't finalized all of the things, but yeah, it'd just be like an old fashioned like get together and just cool shit happening, and a celebration of all things creative. And yeah, and then so at the event, we'll launch the new brand and show everyone what it looks like. Yeah,
I love it. And if you guys haven't been on Penny Bridge's website, it is fucking sick. I fucking love it. And actually,
well,
so is your website.
We got to redo it.
I love that.
Got to redo it.
I love it.
So just if you put up like two windows with like Tillman Creative Co and Penny Bridge, and just imagine them like having a baby. That's what
Comojade. That's my word. When you take two things and you merge them together. Comojade.
Oh, Comojade. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, just imagine those two Comojade. And that's halfway to what the new branding and everything's going to be. And
all of Kiki's, we're not wrapping up yet. I've still got a few more questions to ask you, but all of Kiki's contact details are in the show notes down below. And you can read everything about him. So you can go to his Instagram, his Facebook, his TikTok, his website, his LinkedIn. So suss that out. But okay, so to wrap up, we're going to do the top 5 things for you right now. Who's your favorite music artist at the moment?
It's a good question. I went and saw Angel Dust the other week. That was really good. And I'm going to see one of my all-time fave bands, The Bronx, in a couple of weeks in Brisbane.
Who's your favorite visual artist at the moment? And you can't say me.
Okay, damn. That's a good question. Oh, someone that's been one of my faves for a long time is Jeremy Fish. He's from San Francisco, but he's actually coming out in this month, November. And he's got a show in Melbourne, so I might actually be flying down to that.
So what are you reading at the moment, or what are you listening to podcast-wise? And again, you can't say this podcast, so.
Right. Well, I don't read much. I do have like a businessy sort of creative business book that I'm halfway through, but that was a long time ago. I listen to like weird podcasts, man. I like when I'm painting, I listen to like fiction, sci-fi, like they're basically like audio books, but it's podcasts. But then I also there's this one called This Paranormal Life, which is ridiculous. It's 2 guys talking about paranormal events, but it's kind of like a comedy podcast. Okay. And then at the end of the podcast, they're like, "Is this real or not?" and they have to vote on whether it's real or not. And they've done some pretty funny ones, like the Mothman and
Right.
the goat lady, and yeah, it's really funny.
I love that. That's so good. And what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for like my family, my wife, my friends. I'm thankful for working at Pennybridge now and the team here. Thankful to like live where I do as well. Like I feel like when it comes to like being a creative, a lot of people can kind of look down their nose a little bit at, Gold Coast and Brisbane. But there's a lot of them that have moved up here post-COVID.
And my last question for you is, who's keeping you inspired?
I think it's just the young creatives just giving it a crack. Yeah. And doing it just against all odds as well. Like, because it can feel very noisy and like the industry can feel very overcrowded, I suppose. So the ones that are still just, giving it their all, having a crack.
So, Keeks, thank you so much for coming on my pod. You are just like the sweetest
No worries.
person.
Mate, so are you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Anytime. You're always welcome.
This episode was recorded on Yuggera and Turrbal land. Sovereignty was never ceded. The episode was produced by myself, Madeline Butini. And if you would like to support 1-800-MAD-BUTT, you can head to my website, madbutt.com.au, or you can also go to our Instagram and follow us there. Of course, we appreciate any reviews, so please leave us one if you love it. And yeah, hope to see you again. Thank you.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again.